You ever wonder what happens if your belongings go missing while staying at hotel? Who's responsible? The guest or the hotel? In Malaysia, the answer lies in a law called the Inkeepers Act 1952. So today I will present to you about the Inkeepers Act 1952. Inkeepers Act 1952 is a legal state that covers the responsibilities and liabilities of hotel operators, legally known as innkeepers, in relation to their guest belongings. It applies to a wide range of short-term lodging businesses such as hotel, inns, motel, guest houses, and boarding houses. Essentially, any establishment offering paid short-term accommodation. The Act covers cases of loss, theft, or damage to a guest's belongings that occurs within the hotel premises while they are staying there. Liability is capped at 500. This means if your property goes missing or is damaged, the hotel is not required to pay more than 500 unless certain conditions apply, such as first, negligence by the hotel staff. Second, the guest properly notify the hotel of valuable items upon check-in. The Inkeepers Act 1952 is designed to protect both guests and hotel operators by setting clear rules on liability. In 2019, a Chinese tourist was murdered at a hotel in Pahang, Malaysia. The victim's widow, Wang Chuiling, filed a lawsuit against the hotel cleaning staff, the hotel itself, and the hotel owner. The court found that the cleaning staff was negligent by allowing a notarized person to enter the victim's room using a key card provided by the staff. The hotel and its owner were held vicariously liable for the negligence of their employee. On March 14, 2024, the High Court ordered the defendants to pay 700 in damage, including 200,000 general damage and 500,000 and for pain and suffering, plus 75,000 in legal costs.
Assalamualaikum and hi. My name is Raihana Safia binti Ismail and my metric number is 293313. So in this slide presentation, I will present about the issue of this case. The first issue in this case is the negligence by the hotel staff. A hotel housekeeping staff used her staff key card to allow this an identified man to enter Mr. Shining's room without getting any guest permission or verifying his identity. Even more concerning, the staff did not check whether the man ever exited the room before. This shows a clear failure to follow basic guest safety procedure. From a legal point of view, this behavior amounts to negligence because the staff failed to act with the level of care expected in her role. In the hospitality industry, staff are expected to protect guests' privacy and also secure at all times. The second issue is the hotel's legal duty of care and its failure to protect it. As a service provider, the hotel has a responsibility to protect its guests from foreseeable harm, including unauthorized access to their room. In this case, the hotel failed to properly control access to guest room, which allowed this serious security breach to happen. This is a breach of duty, and in legal terms, it means that the hotel can be held liable for any harm that resulted from that breach. The next issue of this case is vicarious liability. This means that the hotel and its parent company can be held responsible for the action of their employee, even if their action were wrongful, as long as they happen in the course of her work. Court found that although the staff misused her access, she was still performing her duties as a hotel employee. Because of this, the hotel and its owner were found vicariously liable for her negligence. This case highlights the importance of training, monitoring, and supervising employees in any business, especially in hospitality. Next, we'll look at the causation, which refer to the connection between the staff action and tragic outcome. The court concluded that the staff member's decision to let an unknown person into the room directly led to the Mr. Shining robbery and murder. This harm was not only tragic, it was also foreseeable, given the staff careless action. In legal terms, that means the breach of duty was clearly the cause of the harm suffered. Finally, the last issue of this case is compensation and legal redress. Mr. Shining's widow, Madam Wang Chulin, filed a lawsuit for negligence, emotional distress, and loss of support. The High Court awarded her Rm 700,000 in total damage, which include 200,000 in general damage and 500,000 for pain and suffering, and also 75,000 in legal costs. This outcome shows that the court provide legal redress not just for financial loss but also emotional suffering and the loss of a loved one.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Noain Kasni. My matric number is 29279. So today I will talk about holding of the case. The High Court ruled that the hotel and its owner were vicariously liable for the negligence of their staff. The court awarded compensation of 700,000 to the victim's widow, comprising Rm 200,000 in general damage and 500,000 for pain and suffering. What the High Court decided. The High Court found that the hotel and its owners were vicariously liable for the negligent action of their employee. Specifically, the hotel housekeeping staff who gave unauthorized access to a third party, which led to the murder of a guest. This is a legal finding with serious consequence because it confirms that employer can be held liable for wrongful act of their staff even if the employer did not directly cause the harm, so long as the act occurred within the scope of employment. It confirmed that negligence in security protocols such as misuse of a master key can constitute a breach of duty of care in the hospitality industry. Next is breakdown of the compensation. 200,000, which is general damage. This refers to non-specific loss suffered by the deceased widow due to the unlawful death. It typically includes loss of possession, emotional suffering and grief, the general pain caused by the loss of a spouse. This figure reflects the court's recognition of emotional and relational harm that cannot be quantified. Second is 500,000, which is pain and suffering. The suffering ended by the disease before death. The shock and trauma experienced by the widow due to the violent and tragic circumstances of the death. Possible psychological injuries arising from the negligent breach of safety by the hotel. This award is substantial, suggesting that the court viewed the hotel breach of duty as serious and that consequences were especially traumatic. Next is legal significance of the holding. Duty of care in the hotel industry. Hotels are not just service providers. They are occupiers of premise under the Inkeepers Liability Act 1957, though not always cited directly, and they own guests a high standard of care, which is to secure rooms, to train staff not to give unauthorized access, to prevent forcible harm, especially from criminal acts facilitated by staff action. Next, I will explain about the vicarious liability. The court used the doctrine of vicarious liability, meaning an employer is responsible for the wrongful act of their employee when those acts are sufficiently connected to the employee job. In this case, the housekeeping staff had access to the master key. That access was within the scope of employment, misusing it to let someone in breach their duty of care. Even if the hotel owners did not know, they are legally responsible for the breach. So, in conclusion, the High Court decision to award 700,000 in total damage show the seriousness with which Malaysian court treat hotel liability for guest safety. By finding the hotel and its owner vicariously liable, The court emphasized that businesses must take full responsibility for their employees' action when they endanger life, especially in an environment where guests rely on the promise of safety and privacy.
Hello everyone, my name is GHOUK3063. My matric number is 293080. I would like to explain about the rationale of holding the case. Before we explain the details of this case, it's important to understand what we mean by rationale of holding. This term refers to the court reasoning, the legal logic and principle the judge used to arrive at the decision. It's just not about what the court decided, but why it made the decision. In other words, the rationale explains how the court applied the law to the facts of the case and what the specific failures or action led to the outcome. It includes an analysis of duties involved, whether those duties were fulfilled and the consequences when they were not. In this particular case, the rationale focused on the hotel's legal duty to protect its guests under the Inkeepers Act 1952 and how its failure to provide basic safety and security measures directly contribute to the tragic death of the guests. Because the hotel did not act as a responsible innkeeper should have, the court found it negligent and therefore liable for the harm caused. In this tragic case, the hotel did not fulfill even the most basic responsibility expected of any hospitality provider. There were no active security guards, no working surveillance cameras, and no controlled access to the guest rooms. Anyone, including those with harmful intent, could walk in without being noticed or stopped. When the Chinese tourist checked in, she trusted the hotel to keep her safe. That trust was broken. The hotels also lacked any kind of emergency response system. There was no way for staff or guests to quickly respond to danger. These failures were not just unfortunate, they were serious breaches of the hotel's legal duty of care. Under both the Inkeepers Act 1952 and General Tort Law, hotels are required to provide a safe environment. The court looked at these facts and concluded that the hotel's inaction and negligence allowed the attacker to gain access to the victim's room, and tragically, the failure led to the loss of life. Next is court reasoning. In this case, the court found the hotel had breached its legal duty of care towards its guests. The judge determined that the tragic incident, the murder of Chinese tourists, was not just unfortunate but actually foreseeable. In other words, the risk of harm could have been predicted or prevented with proper safety measures in place. The court highlighted several failures on the part of the hotel, such as a lack of effective security system, insufficient surveillance, and poor control who had access to the guest rooms. These gaps shows that the hotel did not take reasonable steps to protect its guests. Because of this, the court concluded that the hotel was negligent under both the Inkeepers Act 1952 and General Principle of Tort Law. The hotel had a responsibility to ensure the safety of its guests, and in this case, responsibility was clearly not met. As a result, the court awarded $700,000 in damages to the victim's window. This amount reflects both the emotional and financial loss she suffered, and it sent a strong message that guest safety is a serious legal obligation for all hospitality business.
Under the Inkeepers Act 1952, hoteliers are expected to ensure the guest safety protection while also maintaining a proper duty care towards their guests during their stay. Although this act primarily focuses on the guest's property and belongings, In this case, we could see that it also highlights the legal responsibilities of the hotel operators to provide a safe environment to their guests. In this case also, we could see that in the end, the courts decide to award the plaintiff, which is the widow, a large sum of 700,000 ringgit Malaysia for the damages. This gives us a reflection that hotels can be held liable for failing to provide adequate security measures, which results in fatal consequences, in this case, which is death. Negligence in duties such as poor surveillance, lack of staff vigilance, or failure to control access to guest area may expose hotel to significant legal and financial repossession.